quizzes to sleep. You can close your eyes and relax. Tonight's topic is geography. Let's begin. What is the capital of France? Paris. What is the largest ocean on Earth? The Pacific Ocean. What is the highest mountain on Earth above sea level? Mount Everest. What is the capital of Italy? Rome. What is the 0-degree line of longitude called? The prime meridian. What is the capital of Spain? Madrid. Which country is known as the land of the rising sun? Japan. What imaginary line at 0 degrees latitude divides Earth into two hemispheres? The equator. What is the smallest country in the world by area? Vatican City. Which country is the largest in the world by area? Russia. What is the capital of Japan? Tokyo. What is the capital of Egypt? Cairo. What is the capital of Germany? Berlin. Which ocean lies east of Africa? The Indian Ocean. What is the capital of Canada? Ottawa. What is the capital of Australia? is the smallest ocean on Earth? The Arctic Ocean. Which continent is the largest by land area? Asia. What is the smallest continent by land area? Australia. Which canal links the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea? The Suez Canal. In which country is Machu Picchu located? Peru. Which country has the longest coastline in the world? Canada. Which waterfall system lies on the border between Canada and the United States? Niagara Falls. Which African river flows north to the Mediterranean Sea? The Nile. In which U.S. state is the Grand Canyon located? Arizona. Which European microstate lies on the French Riviera? Monaco. What is the capital of Russia? Moscow. What is the most populous city in South America by metropolitan area? São Paulo. Which city is the capital of the United States? Washington, D.C. Which city is the capital of Ireland? Dublin. Which U.S. state is composed entirely of islands? Hawaii. In which country is the Taj Mahal located? India. What is the capital of Mexico? Mexico City. What is the largest island in the world that is not a continent? Greenland. What is the capital of Greece? Athens. Which river runs through London? The Thames. Which ocean is between Africa and Australia? The Indian Ocean. What is the capital of New Zealand? Wellington. Which country is the largest in South America by area? Brazil. Which is the world's largest coral reef system? The Great Barrier Reef. Which sea separates Europe and Africa? The Mediterranean Sea. What is the capital of South Korea? Seoul. Which U.S. state is the largest by area? Alaska. Which mountains traditionally mark part of the boundary between Europe and Asia? The Ural Mountains. Which two countries share the island of Hispaniola? Haiti and the Dominican Republic. What is the longest river in North America? The Missouri River. What is the flattest continent? Australia. What is the largest landlocked country by area? Kazakhstan. Which country is the largest in Africa by area? Algeria. What is the highest mountain in Africa? Mount Kilimanjaro. Which river carries the greatest discharge in South America? The Amazon River. What is the largest island in the Mediterranean Sea? Sicily. Which waterfall is the tallest in the world? Angel Falls. Which national capital is the northernmost among sovereign states? Reykjavik. Which country has Reykjavik as its capital city? Iceland. What is the deepest lake in North America? Great Slave Lake. What is the capital of Thailand? Bangkok. Which river flows through Vienna, Budapest, and Belgrade? The Danube. What is the highest mountain in Japan? Mount Fuji. Which Great Lake lies entirely within the United States? Lake Michigan. Which U.S. state is nicknamed the Sunshine State? Florida. What is the second longest river in China? The Yellow River. Which river is sacred in Hinduism and flows across northern India? The Ganges. What is the name of the largest active volcano on Earth? Mauna Loa. Black Sea. Which body of water separates the Arabian Peninsula from Africa? The Red Sea. What is the capital of Portugal? Lisbon. What is the largest island of Japan? Honshu. What is the largest island in Europe? Great Britain. Which is the largest desert in Australia? The Great Victoria Desert. What is the capital of India? New Delhi. Which is the largest desert in North America? The Great Basin Desert. Which desert spans parts of northern China and southern Mongolia? The Gobi Desert. Which country contains the largest share of the Amazon rainforest? Brazil. In which African country is Serengeti National Park primarily located? Tanzania. What is the capital of Brazil? Brasilia. In which U.S. state is Mount Rushmore located? South Dakota. What line of latitude marks the northernmost point where the sun can be directly overhead? The Tropic of Cancer. What line of latitude marks the southern boundary of the Arctic region? The Arctic Circle. What term describes land almost entirely surrounded by water? A peninsula. What term describes a narrow strip of land joining two larger land masses? an isthmus? What is the capital of Chile? Santiago. What is the lowest point of land in North America? Badwater Basin. What is the second largest country in the world by land area? Canada. Which river is the longest in France? The Loire. Which sea lies to the west of the Korean Peninsula? The Yellow Sea. Which sea lies between Japan and mainland Asia? The Sea of Japan. Which volcano buried Pompeii in 79 CE? Mount Vesuvius. Which island is shared by Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei? Borneo. Which strait passes through Istanbul and separates Europe from Asia? The Bosporus. Which desert along Namibia's coast is among the world's oldest? The Namib Desert. Which peninsula includes Spain and Portugal? The Iberian Peninsula. Which peninsula includes Norway and Sweden? The Scandinavian Peninsula. What is the capital of Kenya? Nairobi. Which Southeast Asian peninsula includes Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam? The Indochinese Peninsula. What is the deepest known point in the ocean? The Challenger Deep. What is the deepest ocean trench? is the highest tidal range in the world. The Bay of Fundy, which sea is the largest by area. The Philippine Sea. What is the capital of Vietnam? Hanoi. Which country is home to the Great Barrier Reef? Australia. Which country has the most natural lakes? Canada. Which river has the largest drainage basin in the world? The Amazon River. In which country is Angel Falls located? Venezuela. Which waterfall lies on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe? Victoria Falls. What is the capital of the Philippines? Manila. Which waterfall system forms part of the border between Argentina and Brazil? Iguazu Falls. Which cape is the southernmost point of mainland Africa? Cape Agulhas. Which headland is the southernmost major point of South America? Cape Horn. Which lake is the largest freshwater lake by surface area? Lake Superior. Which lake holds the most fresh water by volume? Lake Baikal. Which mountain range runs along South America's west coast? The Andes. Which strait separates Russia and the United States? The Bering Strait. What is the longest river in Europe? The Volga River. What is the capital of Austria? Vienna. What is the world's largest archipelago? The Malay Archipelago. Which body of water separates the United Kingdom from France? The English Channel. Which desert's name is often translated as place of no return? The Taklamakan Desert. What is the longest river in Asia? The Yangtze River. What is the longest river in the United Kingdom? The River Severn. What is the driest non-polar desert on Earth? The Atacama Desert. Which strait separates Spain from Morocco? The Strait of Gibraltar. What is the capital of Belgium? Brussels. What is the highest peak in North America? Denali. Which high lake on the Peru-Bolivia border is the highest navigable lake? Lake Titicaca. What is the capital of the Netherlands? Amsterdam. Which country is split by the Panama Canal? Panama. Which city is known for the Christ the Redeemer statue on Corcovado? Rio de Janeiro. Which mountain is widely considered the highest in Europe? Mount Elbrus. Which mountain is the highest in the Alps? Mont Blanc. Which inlet between India and Bangladesh is the world's largest bay? The Bay of Bengal. Which gulf is the largest in the world by area? The Gulf of Mexico. Which is the largest peninsula in the world? The Arabian Peninsula. Which body of water separates Madagascar from mainland Africa? The Mozambique Channel. Which river in the U.S. carries the greatest volume? The Mississippi River. Which point is the lowest on Earth's land surface? The shoreline of the Dead Sea. Which U.S. state is known as the Lone Star State? Texas. Which U.S. state is called the Aloha State? Hawaii. What is the capital of Morocco? Rabat. Which U.S. state is nicknamed the Last Frontier? Alaska. Which country is home to the ancient city of Petra? Jordan. Which desert in the Arabian Peninsula is also called the Empty Quarter? The Rub al Khali. Which country's longest river is the Loire? France. Which river that runs through Germany is among Europe's major waterways? The Rhine. Which sea lies to the south of China and east of Vietnam? The South China Sea. lies between Arabia and Iran. The Persian Gulf, which channel separates southern England from northern France. The English Channel. What is the capital of Indonesia? Jakarta. Which strait connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman? The Strait of Hormuz. Which strait separates Sumatra from the Malay Peninsula? The Strait of Malacca. Which channel separates Tierra del Fuego from mainland South America? The Strait of Magellan. Which strait connects the Aegean Sea to the Sea of Marmara alongside the Bosporus? The Dardanelles. Which island group belongs to Ecuador and is famed for unique wildlife? The Galapagos Islands. Which island group off the northwest coast of Africa belongs mostly to Spain? The Canary Islands. Which island country in the Indian Ocean lies east of Madagascar? Mauritius. What is the capital of Saudi Arabia? Riyadh. Which lake is the deepest in the world? Lake Baikal. Which African lake is the deepest and one of the longest? Lake Tanganyika. Which African lake is the largest by surface area? Lake Victoria. Which lake in Australia is often dry and also called Katithanda? Lake Eyre. Which river flows through Rome? The Tiber. Which river flows through Cairo. The Nile. Which river flows through Moscow? The Moskva River. What is the capital of Peru? Lima. Which river flows through Berlin? The Spree. Which country is entirely surrounded by South Africa? Lesotho. Which European microstate lies between Spain and France in the Pyrenees? Andorra. Which landlocked country in the Himalayas is known for the city of Kathmandu? Nepal. Which landlocked country east of Iran has Kabul as its largest city? Afghanistan. What is the capital of Hungary? Budapest. Which landlocked country between Romania and Ukraine is known for Chisinau? Moldova. Which landlocked country in southern Africa has Gaborone as its largest city? Botswana. Which landlocked country in East Africa has Addis Ababa as its largest city? Ethiopia. Which landlocked country in West Africa has Ouagadougou as its largest city? Burkina Faso. Which landlocked country in the Caucasus has Yerevan as its largest city? Armenia. What is the capital of the Czech Republic? Prague. Which desert covers much of Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa? The Kalahari Desert. covers much of Nevada and is a cold desert. The Great Basin Desert. Which country is split by the Suez Canal? Egypt. Which plateau in Tibet averages over 4,500 meters in elevation? The Tibetan Plateau. Which rift system runs from the Red Sea toward Mozambique? The Great Rift Valley. Which Atlantic current helps keep Western Europe's climate mild? The Gulf Stream. Which country designates Jerusalem as its capital? Israel. Which river forms part of the border between the United States and Mexico? The Rio Grande. Which city is the legislative capital of South Africa? Cape Town. Which island nation lies southeast of India and is famous for tea? Sri Lanka. Which mountain range forms a natural border between France and Spain? The Pyrenees. Which U.S. city is known as the Big Apple? New York City. Which country is famous for its mountains, chocolate, and watches? Switzerland. How many continents are there? Seven.